Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Thank you everyone for joining us. It is now time for another edition of Tech Briefs, which is our weekly segment where myself and Ken Young from Flipboard recap the biggest stories in tech. And I want to say this, today's episode of Tech Briefs is being brought to you by Bombas socks. Bombas socks are made with the softest cotton in the world and with extra cushioning. So no matter where you're walking or what you're doing, you'll be perfectly comfortable. Bombas also has a mission to help others. So for every item purchased, they will also donate a specially designed pair of socks to someone in need. You can take advantage of a great offer right now by going to bombas.com/digital and get 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com/digital for 20% off, bombas.com/digital. All right, let's get on and talk about some of the biggest stories in tech. To do so, I have joining me Mr. Ken Young. Hello, Ken.
Hey, Greg, nice to see you again.
Good to see you too. And for mid-December, it was a surprisingly really busy week in tech. So let's get started off with the beginning of the week. And one of the big announcements from Apple, which is the Mac Pro is out and it is expensive. But for a reason, it's actually designed. The Pro in this is actually something that actually means something, I feel like, versus Pro and some of the other platforms that you use that term in, because this is designed for really high-end use cases. But starting at $6,000, it can go all the way up to $52,000.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, like, if I asked my parents to buy me this for Christmas, this is going to not only be Christmas, but it's my birthday, wedding, graduation, whatever else presents for my grandkids. This is an expensive computer that, is made for the professionals. It's not made for the college student. I mean, unless you're pretty well off. But look, you're right. This is at the base model. It's about $6,000 just for the computer. Now, if you want to tack on that Pro Display XDR monitor, that's going to cost you way more. I believe that's another $4,000 right there. And if you go soup to nuts with all out custom features, you're looking at about the cost of a Cybertruck. And I don't know about you, but I personally would probably want the Mac Pro versus the Cybertruck, because unless the Cybertruck is an actual Optimus Prime transformer, that's not going to do me as much as a Mac Pro.
You know what? I'm going with the Cybertruck. I got to go with that. I think it's what I would choose if we were each given $52,000. Clearly, that's a study that we need to do where each of us takes that and then we'll test them out and see who's happier. But that is what we're looking at there with the Mac Pro. And we had to bring that up because it's definitely one of the biggest product announcements that we had this week. So people are taking advantage of it. And again, it is for a very high-end user who's going to be using that, a very professional, videographer, any kind of things like that. A lot of editing, processing power that you're going to need with that. So that's the Mac Pro. Let's continue on, though, talk about some other news. Facebook, as always, finds its way into our tech news this week, but now it's with some disagreements it's having with the Department of Justice and with the Senate, and there's a couple of things to unravel with this. One of them being that when it comes to encryption, earlier in the week, Facebook has made it no secret they're going to integrate WhatsApp and Instagram and Facebook and further entrench each of those apps into each other, but they're also going to make end-to-end encryption a possibility. This is something that they believe is necessary for them as a company and for the end user, to where all of your messages are encrypted. Well, the government asked if they would provide a backdoor for government uses to be able to get into that, and Facebook flat out said no. And I think that's a good thing that they said no. That's protecting the consumer, but it's leading to some other consequences that are falling down, and that's what the big news was yesterday with the FTC. I think that this definitely has something to do with it, putting out a preliminary injunction against Facebook. Can you walk us through those details?
Oh, absolutely. So if you recall earlier this year, and very similar to what you just mentioned, Facebook has been under fire for the past couple of years over their abuse of consumer data, over their users' data. And so Mark Zuckerberg decided to do a surprise pivot of sorts. And earlier this year, it said, look, we're going to integrate Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, and Instagram together, and we're going to basically streamline everything and allow end-to-end encryption. So this seemed pretty good. No work has been done quite yet. I mean, well, I should correct myself. Some work has been done behind the scenes, but not a lot that most people will see. But at the end of the day, the Department of Justice and Congress are basically saying, look, this is great. We support privacy, but you need to give law enforcement access to this data so that we can curb criminal behavior on you guys Facebook controls three of the largest messaging apps in the world. And so the law enforcement needs to have a way to make cases against criminals, pedophiles, sex traffickers, and the like. So, but Facebook's saying, look, no, we're not going to do that. We don't want to compromise user data, user privacy, and we want to make sure everyone has that end-to-end encryption. WhatsApp, if you recall, does already have end-to-end encryption, but Facebook wants to extend that to all these other messaging apps. The Department of Justice is fighting against that. And the U.S. Senate has said, look, either you figure it out, tech companies in general need to figure out encryption, weaken it, or we're going to regulate encryption. And that could pose some serious issues in 2020.
Yeah, the FTC putting out this injunction about Facebook further integrating their apps and making that threat. It actually did affect their stock. Stock went down on Facebook. That's probably something that I would imagine will bounce back, but still it's having an effect. And this is certainly the biggest representation for a tech company of going to battle about user data. You had some of this stuff with Apple before with the iPhone as far as encryption, and them saying no, and then people kind of figured out ways around it. I suppose it's possible somebody could figure out a way around what Facebook is doing, but they're going to battle saying, no, we're sticking to our guns, this is what we're gonna do. So how this all shakes out, yeah, the ramifications could be huge, and whatever happens to Facebook is what we're going to see fall out with everybody else too.
But I would caution though that like with the FTC, that's just currently reported. The FTC has not taken any official action yet against that, and they're at the very least they're looking to stop the technical integration, according to New York Times, the technical integration of the three messaging services together. Now, what other further action could that lead to? Could that lead to breaking up Facebook in terms of from their messaging apps? According to New York Times, like the FTC hasn't really had any precedent to undo mergers that have already been closed. And if you recall, Facebook bought Instagram for over $1 billion, and Facebook bought WhatsApp for over $20 billion. So, and those deals all closed. The FTC approved both acquisitions. So it'll be very interesting to see if the FTC actually does take action, or if they are currently doing the bidding of the DOJ and the Senate in terms of wanting to weaken encryption. But one thing, especially to note, the FTC is currently investigating Facebook over antitrust violations. So it'll be very interesting to see in 2020 what happens, and not only with Facebook, but also just tech in general.
Yeah, and I think that's a very good point, too, that you brought up, because there's a lot happening, and there's a lot of different moving parts to it, but whether it's part of all one machine or it's different things that are going against Facebook, that's true. I guess it's easy to draw that line, but it's not necessarily the line that's there. But these are all things that are happening with Facebook, and there's a lot that's going to shake out regardless on all of those issues in the coming weeks. All right, so a couple other things that we just want to get to really quick. When it comes to social media, Facebook also announcing that they have created or they're going to be creating a basically Supreme Court of social media to help them monitor the activity on Facebook, so that it's kind of separate from them. They can take it to them. Twitter also saying that they want to create a decentralized platform for all social media, utilizing this thing they're calling Blue Skies. This basically, it's not anything yet, but it's their idea where they're taking some developers and being like, okay, create this decentralized platform, and then we'll just exist on it. So I think that's just another sign of the social networks understanding that people are concerned about how much control they have, what privacy has on there, and trying to just at least say, hey, look, we're doing something.
Yeah, it's two different approaches, right? I mean, both companies aren't, be interested. It'd be fascinating to see if both companies can go in that same direction in terms of trying to solve a problem. But you can see it's a tale of two cities. Facebook's trying to say, look, we want an independent source to help us judge our content that's on our platform. And so they're looking to create the Supreme Court, which could overrule Mark Zuckerberg's decisions in terms of content. But, about a year after Zuckerberg proclaimed that there was a Supreme Court in the works, we're still waiting on that. And the Facebook has clearly said this week that they're going to take their time in terms of picking out who's going to participate in this court. They're going to invest, I believe, $130 million to pay the salary and basically set up this operation. Now you look at Twitter. Twitter's now just in exploratory mode. They're trying to figure out this decentralization social network type of thing. Whether or not that involves the blockchain, who knows? They're investigating that right now with a small team of researchers. It's almost probably, we could probably expect some sort of white paper next year. But they're immediately receiving criticism from other platforms such as Mastodon, who are saying, look, Twitter, we've been doing this. Where have you guys been? Like, talk to us. We've been figuring this out. But whether or not this type of approach will solve Twitter's safety issue, its harassment issue, and whatever else is plaguing the evils of the world and on the internet, that it's totally unclear whether decentralization will actually make a difference, or just kind of push everything into the shadows.
Definitely some big issues that are going on in tech as far as understanding how all that's going to shake out. And I know we're out of time. I just wanted to briefly mention that if anybody wants to follow up, there is the new Xbox Series X that was announced. This Project Scarlet is no more. The new Xbox platform was announced. So the gaming wars are going to be heating up, and that's probably something we'll be talking about a lot too in the coming weeks. But you can read more about everything we've been discussing at Flipboard or at digitaltrends.com and catch up with all of the news that is going on. It's something that we like to do here with Tech Briefs. And Ken, I want to say thank you very much. As always, it's fun talking about tech. There's never enough time to get it all in, but we try to help people out with at least to be knowledgeable on some of the biggest stories that have gone on. Ken, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.